Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about rulemaking authority. The FTC is not ordinarily allowed to do APA notice and comment rulemaking unless given specific authority by Congress to do so in a particular area, as it was for Made in the USA claims. Among other things, FTC rules can be overturned by a court if the rulemaking was not supported by substantial evidence that the regulated unfair or deceptive practice is prevalent in the market. As a result, rulemaking in the absence of a mandate from Congress on a particular subject is rare. When a formal rule is in place, an enforcement proceeding need not show that the respondent violated Section 5. That is, the FTC need not prove that the respondent's specific conduct was unfair or deceptive, only that the respondent violated the rule, which might require certain disclosures or ban the use of certain words. This raises the question, if you're a business, when would rules interpreting and almost certainly expanding the scope of the statute be better for you than just having the statute's broad ban on unfair and deceptive practices? There are some cases where regulated entities might prefer rules. First, where it would bring predictability. For example, the FTC settled with Twitter when it was Twitter for bad data security that allowed intruders to guess important passwords and thus access confidential information. If there'd been a rule about what companies should do in terms of information security, Twitter might have followed it initially, and relatedly, rules might provide safe harbors. Second, compliance reasons. Bigger companies may do better when there are clear rules. Third, preemption. Rulemaking may increase the momentum of a preemption argument if state rules or laws are inconsistent. The second Bush administration used rulemaking fairly extensively to expand the scope of federal preemption of state laws that were more protective of consumers. This is also tied, of course, to benefits for bigger companies that have national operations. This paucity of formal rules and prevalence of guides at the FTC also raises questions of judicial deference. Even before Loper-Bright, deference to agency interpretations was only appropriate when the interpretation was the authoritative or official position of the agency or the product of the agency's substantive expertise. After Loper-Bright, it remains to be seen what sort of deference courts will give to an FTC guide. In past decades, the level of deference has been substantial because the FTC does tend to develop guides in a way that highly resembles notice and comment rulemaking in other agencies, and that may well continue. A note on what follows. Do not attempt to absorb the specific rules here. Instead, what I'm looking for is for you to pay attention to the level of detail, which is standard from what you can expect for an FTC guide. So we're going to look at the example of free. Now, of course, this does not have the force of law or regulation. That's why it's called a guide, but it is published in the CFR. So let's see. This is the FTC's guide concerning the use of the word free and the similar representations. So the FTC is going to explain its reasoning about why it's regulating, and it'll offer examples of what's covered using specific language. The guide is going to rely on concepts of what consumers are actually thinking and thus what might mislead them, and what it's seen in the marketplace. It will offer detailed explanations of what to do and what not to do, and it will often suggest the format. So it will say things like where you should put things on the display panel, where you should provide other information, and so on. So like I said, I'm not going to cover the details, but the details can be found and you can send clients there. So that's it. And we will go into more detail on this in class. See you there.